All right, let's talk inheritance. Inheritance is a core idea of object-oriented programming, so we're going to spend a good chunk of time on it. All inheritance basically means is you get to share classes between other classes or between other interfaces. Okay, the whole point of inheritance is to try to prevent code duplication. We don't like to write the same code over and over and over again in multiple spots for a number of reasons. First off, it's inefficient. If I could write code in one place and just reuse it, that's better. The second part is that if it's all over, if you have different copies of the same code all over the place, it gets very hard to make certain that any updates to that code get updated everywhere. If it's in one spot, it can be changed in one spot. That's easy to find, and then you know that it's changed. You don't have some other code floating around somewhere that's going to cause a bug. So I've got an interface called animal. All right, so you can think of animals like the parent interface. Okay, we have these things that are animals. They have number of legs, whether or not they can fly, okay, what their name. Notice I have the property and the type, like in TypeScript, so number of legs is a number. Can fly is true or false. Name is a string. Now this is going to be new to you because you're like, well, that wasn't a built-in type. You can make what's called an enum. Okay, let's learn a little bit about enums right now. Enums are a thing in TypeScript and not a thing in JavaScript. It's when you want to restrict the choice of what a property can be. So for example, consumption type, omnivore, carnivore, herbivore, insectivore. So in my program, animals can be one of these four types. They can't be anything else. Okay, it's restricted. So if it's not on this list, you can't select it. Notice if you hover over each one, you'll notice that they have a number. So omnivore is 0, and then carnivore is 1, and it'll go up by 1 for each thing. Now, the order is important. If I take omnivore and throw it at the end of the list, for example, then carnivore becomes 0. So whatever the first thing in the enum is 0, no matter what the value is. So the order matters, and the reason I say that is because enums, once you make them, you shouldn't change them. So what I mean by that is you can always add to the end of an enum and keep the number going up, but never go back to a previously made one and change it because your whole program is based on omnivore equals 0, carnivore equals 1. Okay, the number and the value go together; they're chained together. So that's the point of the enum, and so we don't want this to change. We could add new ones at the end as time goes on. So new value, whatever you want. Okay, but I would recommend that once you have the enum in place, you leave it there. Now you don't have to have it start off at 0. You can have it start off at 10 if you felt like. Okay, so here's 10, and then it will start going up from the number you say. So this is 11, this is 12, this is 13. Okay, you can do that. You can't put them out of order, but for right now, let's just leave it like this. So omnivore is 0, carnivore is 1, etc. And these are the only things you can pick from. So I put that as a type here, and so now this is an animal. Okay, now let's talk about dogs. Interface dog extends animal. Okay, extend is the keyword for inheritance. That means that a dog is a type of animal. What that means is the dog interface will get all these must have all these properties. Okay, it must have number of legs, can fly, name, and consumption type. But dog is a bit different than other animals in that it has a breed and whether or not it's a good boy. Okay, that's different for dogs. So we use inheritance because this all is the same. Okay, for animals, this part's going to remain constant from animal to animal, and this is the part that's going to be like just for dogs. All right, so I also have a cat. Okay, interface cat extends animal. Cats have a breed and whether or not they're sleeping in a sunbeam. All right, that is sleeping in a sunbeam is something for a cat, not a dog or anything else. All right, now you'll notice it's like, well, Jonathan, dogs have breeds, cats have breeds. Well, remember the parent class is animal. Like, what if I had an aardvark as one of my animals in my program? So interface aardvark extends animal. Aardvark does not. I don't know if they have breeds or not. I do know that they burrow. Okay, so what we can do is notice how because we're all inheriting from animal, we all have to have these properties. So let me show you what that looks like. So for example, I've got a dog, Fido. Let Fido of type dog equal. Now notice all these four, right? These four properties are not, you don't see them typed up in dog, right? Here's a dog interface. I don't see these four properties. Number of legs, can fly, name, consumption type. None of those are here. All those are in the animal interface, but because dog extends animal, dog inherits from animal, it must have these four properties. So I go ahead and I can say, okay, it has 4 legs, dogs can't fly. This dog's name is Fido. Dogs are omnivores. And then this is the part that is specifically for a dog, right? It's a Labrador Retriever, and he's a good boy. And we have Shadow the cat, okay, who also has to have these 4 properties. And cat said he's a tabby, and then he's also sleeping in a sunbeam. So let's go ahead and make an aardvark. So let aardvarkius, who is an aardvark. Okay, we're making a new object. Now, notice that it currently TypeScript is yelling at me. It has no chill. So it's like, dude, you're missing the following properties. And notice that it will tell you which properties you're like missing. If you don't have this extension, I would go get it. It is called ErrorLens. Okay, it's very, very, very helpful. Okay, go to extensions, look up ErrorLens. It is great. So aardvarks have 4 legs. Number of legs is 4. I don't think aardvarks can fly. This aardvark's name is Aardvarkius. Okay, consumption type, we're going to use this enum now. So consumption type is consumption type dot insectivore. Okay, that was one of the options. Now see, notice I need consumption type, hit dot. See how my my choices are restricted? I only have these 4. I can't just type something randomly in. Okay, that you're basically saying that, like, select from this menu of possible values. You cannot do anything else. Okay, so there's an insectivore, and it's still whether it's currently in burrow. He's out and about eating. All right, there you go. So now we've got an aardvark who inherits from animals, who has these 4 properties, which come from the animal interface, and then the aardvark interface has this property. Okay, we also learned about enums. Okay, remember, an enum is used when you want to restrict the number, the number and type of choices you're going to give. So, for example, animals can only be one of these 4 things in this program: an omnivore, carnivore, etc. So you can use an enum, perfect example for one. Enums are in order. The first one's going to be 0, then 1, then 2, etc. And you can, of course, change the starting number if you wish. Okay, but that's typically not done. Although sometimes it is, I guess. Okay. And remember, next is extends. So you do interface, name of your interface, extends, parent interface. This is the parent. I'm going to hear me use the term parent. Okay, animal is the parent interface. Dog is the child interface. Dog inherits from animals. That means inheritance means we gain the properties from the parent. So all these properties are in all the children. Okay, and you can see it as an example here. Dog inherits these properties from its parent animal, and this is a way of ensuring, okay, with interfaces, a way of ensuring that all animals have a certain properties. Okay, if you're wondering what the use case is, the purpose of this is that any animal in my program, at the very least, has these 4 properties, so I can treat all animals kind of the same on some level. Right, I could treat dogs and cats differently for being dogs and cats, but at the end of the day, they are animals. And in my program, I can check whether they can fly, what do they eat, okay, how many legs do they have. I know that if I'm dealing with an animal, I can at least know this information here at all times. That's the point of inheritance. All right, that was for inheritance for interfaces. Let's learn about classes, and then we'll learn inheritance with classes and what it's used for.